Hey everyone, this is me, Lance Myxter from Gray Fox Games. I'm here to talk to you really briefly about Tsukuyumi. And Tsukuyumi, the game that was, this is my giant box, and I have all my other expansions as well. This game was published by Gray Fox Games and King Raccoon Games. And this was actually a game that was handled as far as like the crowdfunding was done before I was actually employed with Gray Fox, but I had my hands dirty with all of the fulfillment processes and a lot of the development of everything of this newest campaign that is going on right now on Kickstarter. It's in the last few days. And this is just me to talk about why I dig this. So when I said that this is one of those rare tens for me, I don't, I want to talk very briefly about what I consider a 10. A 10 is a game that maybe I don't play as often as I wish. But it is a game that whenever I think about it, it inspires me in some way. It makes me think about past plays that I've had of it, think about how I could have played better, how I would do things differently, and then I get that itch. I get that feeling that I really need to find the time to play that game again. As my life has continued into the board game publishing world, I have found that I don't really have time to play games for fun as much as I used to. And that's just one of those things. It's most of the games I play now are for playtesting purposes or game development purposes. And I tend to focus on games that if I'm going to play a game for fun, I usually don't have time to learn it. I usually don't have time to play it several times to get into it. And so I tend to play games that I've already played and also that are of a shorter game length. I mean, in all honesty, it has been several months since I've played a game of Tsukuyumi. And that's mostly because of the fact that it is a game that takes a little bit longer to play. If you're playing with people that don't know how to play the game, it can be very difficult for them to grok the rules of the first time that they run through it. And as a person that has a family and like commitments to things outside of my work time hours, I have to set up special times. I mean, I have to basically say, who can play this big long game with me on this specific date? Because the people that I play with also have families and outside restraints upon their time when they can do it. But regardless to that, it is a game that I feel like I need to play at least a couple times a year because of its epicness, because of how amazing it is. When I first played the game, the very first time I ever did, I was very lucky that somebody was able. I mean, I only had a copy, obviously, because I got one. Luckily for me, I got it through Gray Fox. But I had somebody that actually had played the game several times in my local gaming area and was willing to teach it to me, which was heaven sent. However, in the meantime, earlier this year, a board game channel, I think it's called EZboardgames, and there'll be a link down below that will take you to it. It has a fabulous how to play instructional video that I would invite anybody if you want to get a feeling for how the game is played. And also if you have the game and if it's sitting on your shelf of shame and then you're having trouble getting it to your table, take a watch of that. It is a longer video, which is again an attribution to how epic and how cool Tsukuyumi is and just how in-depth the game is and the different facets that it is. And this kind of feeds into why it's one of my few tens. There are lots of games out there, and one of the things about the industry right now is that it has exploded over the last 6, 5, 7 years, whatever you want to call it. And it is odd to think that back when I was first getting into the designer board game hobby, like there were like these handful of games that everybody said these are the best games that were made. And now it just seems like there's like a ton of very good games that are being published and being created right now. And this is kind of a renaissance, if you will, of people getting into the designer board game hobby, and the plethora of very good games that are available for people to play are, there's hundreds of them, as far as being published every year. But for me, like, for something to get to a 10 for me, it is something that has to transcend that very good status. And I'm not going to go into other games that I've had. Maybe on my personal YouTube channel, I'll someday do these are my 10s, something I would do. But uh, the reason why Tsukuyumi is in that rarefied air for me, if that means anything to anyone. I mean, the only person that really technically should mean anything to me is me. But regardless, the reason why it reaches that rarefied spot for me is multitude of reasons. One, it does something that makes me feel like I'm telling a story. It makes me feel like I'm encompassing that fight for the moon, the different factions warring over the different things. And the fact that all those different factions in the last year or so, it's like the big thing for people to say is asymmetric. Oh, it's there's asymmetric factions, there's asymmetric powers, there's asymmetric this, that, and the other thing. And well, Tsukuyumi was doing that way back when the very first version of it was ever published in King Raccoon. And there were other asymmetric games back then. But before it became in vogue, this was a game that was one of the trendsetters, one of the people that first, put that, so to speak, the first footprint on the moon, if you will, to really to push the fact that, like, you have all these cool factions. I'm just, I mean, you have all these cool factions, whether it's Warlords or the Cyber Samurai or the Dark Seed or the Nomads, and this is just the base game stuff. All of them interact with the game differently. All of them win the game differently, and knowledge of each faction is going to help you as the player understand how to win, but also how to fight those other things. And that's another one of the things where it is kind of a deeper dive into it. Knowing how those factions work and knowing what you need to do to prevent another faction to win is something that I like it because, and this is another thing that, like a 10, it rewards repeated play. It rewards not just thinking about go here, collect that cube, do this, turn in the points. It rewards a higher knowledge. It rewards an investment of your time and your intellect and your knowledge. And it is, and it is a heavier game. I'll fully admit it is a heavier game. And that has a lot of facets of 4X and area control, all the things that I look for in an epic type of game of this genre. But it doesn't feel like, as you're playing it, one, that's the other thing, I never feel bored. I never feel like I'm not doing something because of the action card choices that you're making when you're drafting and you have these cards, and because of the fact that those cards are unique as far as how they work for you, and then the different colored phases of each round and how those are going to interact with everybody else that's playing. And then you have to consider that, and you also have to consider what cards are going to be transferred because to other players that they can use. You have to always, for lack of a better term, have your head on a swivel and always be thinking about the next turn and the turn after that. And of course, also the game beyond the game. When you're playing with 2, 3, 4 people, you have to be thinking about what their tactics are, thinking about where their focus is, and trying to discern what their actions are going to be, what they're going to go on. And the other thing, and not really the final thing, but the last thing I'm going to point out that I just really adored about the game is the Oni, the evil forces that are on the board that are everybody's enemy, but because of certain cards that you can play, you get to activate these Oni, and they become this, like, aggressive, technically almost, well, I mean, it's an aggressive, chaotic faction, but since everybody has the ability to activate them and use them and move them above the board to mess up what other people are doing, they become almost like a neutral faction, if you will, a neutral obstacle that you have to keep your head on a swivel, realizing how other people might be using. You don't just have to worry about the dark seed bugs coming and like infesting your areas that you're trying to take over and control. You have to worry about how these dark seed bugs are maybe use these. And and again, all of these factions interact with each other in different ways. And ultimately, I guess one last thing that I really like is I don't mind some chaos in a game. I don't mind dice rolling in certain games for combat or what have you. I get that. But I do adore the fact this isn't the combat system is a diceless combat system. It is largely deterministic. It is largely a true my brain against your brain type of game, where better strategy and tactics should carry the day, along with a little bit of luck as well. Now there are, as I said, I'm going to put that link um, in the description here for EZboardgames. I'm going to put that in there to check out that channel, and check that guy's done a ton of amazing videos, so go ahead and check those out. But I'm going to put the link to the Tsukuyumi so you can watch that. You can get an idea of how the game is played. I'm also going to post several links to different review videos that I think really captured the just how cool and how awesome Tsukuyumi is. And for like Sam Healey or Jeremy Howard, Hungry Gamer, you'll find those down there as well. And I invite you to go check those out and see if you think Tsukuyumi is going to be a game that is going to want to hit your table, and you're going to want to play against your buddies to see who can come out on top, having playing Tsukuyumi. Now, as I said, the campaign is currently going right now, and it is in its final days. Afterwards, there will be a pledge manager. So depending upon when you see this video, you'll be able to go ahead and either check it out while the campaign is live, or the pledge manager, which I believe is going to be on GameFound at this time. So, and that might change. And if it is, you can definitely, there will be notifications and updates on the Kickstarter campaign, which the link will be down again there if you look in the description of this video. But regardless, thank you for taking the time to watch this and let me just kind of gush about a game that I've been really enjoyed a great deal playing personally, and also having a hand in getting it made so other people can enjoy the heck out of it as well. But until next time, thank you very much. This is Lance Myxter from Gray Fox Games. You have yourself a great day.